Hi y'all, welcome to Hazelmere Craftworks. I'm the Alchemist. And if you tuned in at all to Tuesday's video, I talked about how we were reviewing a bottle that was part of my Father's Day gift. And today, well, we're reviewing a bottle that's another part of my Father's Day gift. Tuesday's bottle was a bottle that you can only get in duty free. This bottle is a bottle that you can only get in Europe. And this bottle is from the Sleers distillery in Bavaria, which is in Germany. And what makes this bottle very unique is that it's a limited run. They only made 800 and some bottles. But what makes it so unique besides the bottling is that it was aged in Tokajer barrels. And if you know what a Tokajer wine is, you're way ahead of me. I had never heard of it until my wife brought this home. She picked this one because she had never heard of Tokajer wine. And when the gentleman at the store described it to her and how rare it was, she thought it would be the perfect Father's Day gift. And so she grabbed it for me and brought it home. And if you would feel the weight of this box, that's no small feat. A Tokajer wine is noted to be the oldest wine on record, as well as the rarest wine on record. And it's rare because it's only grown in the grapes are only grown in one area of the world, which is northeast Hungary. And they get their uniqueness from fungus that's known as royal rot. It's known as royal rot because King Louis XV of France called this Tokajer wine the wine of kings and the king of wines. This royal rot fungus grows on the grapes because the grapes in northeast Hungary are grown only in one small area where in the early morning the mist and humidity from the rivers that it's grown by create this nice humidity and mist and water that get on the grapes. And then in the afternoon, the sun that is on the grapes and the heat that you get off the sun for the nice dry warm afternoons then creates the perfect environment for fungus. Feeds on that skin and it makes that skin crack, and then all the thick syrupy moisture condenses down because of the crack to a very thick syrup, and it actually drips out of the grapes, and they catch that syrup and take it directly like that, and they dump that in the wine barrels, that syrup as is, and add their yeast to it and ferment that. There's no other liquid added, and so you can imagine how much they have to collect to fill a cask, and they make their wine. Now that syrup is so concentrated with sugar that you can only get about 5 proof on a bottle of wine on this, but the sweetness and then the acidity that you get as well with it makes a nice combination. So it's very unique, old, and a lot of times they age these barrels for 200 years to get this wine. So quite unique, quite old, very rare, and this whiskey was aged in one of those barrels. So enough hearing me talk about it, giving you a little history on it, why this bottle is quite unique. My wife would not disclose what she paid for this. I imagine I could look it up online, but Out of respect for my beautiful bride, I did not look this one up. So, let's see what we got. Okay, right away. First thing I get is ripe grapes. Like a very ripe, to me it's like a very ripe white grape. But I also get what I'll call honeyed orchard fruits. So it's like apple and pear, more like a pear. But it's like a bowl of pears. If you cut open pears and you put it in a bowl and you just drizzle it heavy with honey. Because that honey comes through, that pear comes through quite nice. There's a nice bit of vanilla, and there's some oak. And all that together on the nose, it's just a bouquet. A complex bouquet, very inviting. I could smell this for a long time, but I better move on and take my sips. Okay, on the palate, the honey turns to caramel. And those orchard fruits turn into more of a stone fruit. Like an apricot. There's still the vanilla on here. A nice bit of heat for this being only 80 some proof. .86 proof. So there's a nice bit of heat on there for that. Inviting heat. And there's baking spices on here, but they're subtle enough that I can't come out and tell you. If I had to call anything out, I would say cinnamon and nutmeg. But they're subtle. Very inviting though. Oh, I just licked my lips. And I got like a mixture of honey and caramel. Makes you want to go back in for more. But the finish on this is long. And it's sweet. And it's like a sweet dessert wine. I don't know if any of y'all are familiar with like, what is it, ice wine? And there's different levels of ice wine. And I don't know the names of these different levels, but it's like one of the less sweet levels of ice wine. Like 1 or 2 levels up from the sweetest ice wine. But it's still quite sweet. And that leaving that sweetness on the finish, combined with the light oak that's in there, is a perfect way to end a sip. And it really draws you in and makes you want to sip again. You want to break out something nice, and this is quite nice. Very good bottle. Tokaj or something I've never heard of. Quite good. But as y'all know, I love to have y'all coming back around, so please take it easy. Don't drink and drive. Cheers.